Now, you probably heard this, that traditionally parties in power lose seats in the midterm elections. According to the latest Quinnipiac poll, there are some troubling signs for Republicans, but all is not lost. But check this out. It's important that you understand what's at stake. Among independents, a group that Trump won by 4 points in 2016, Republicans face a 17-point deficit as of now versus the Democrats. Among white women, a group Trump won by 9 points in 2016, they are now preferring Democratic candidates by a 14-point margin. And among voters 65 and older, they prefer Dems by a 14-point margin. Now, look, there's no doubt that the left is energized and they're craving for power. But if the Democratic Party gains majorities in either house of Congress, what are they going to do? Well, they'll try to reverse all of Trump's progress and destroy one incredible economic recovery. Industries will be decimated, jobs will be lost. Of course, the other obvious danger, should the Democrats win, a House majority, well, what will that be? Well, that sounds a little bit like this.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America.
I would support impeachment. I think that, we have the grounds to do it.
Let's impeach 45! Impeach 45!
Someone tell her that doesn't rhyme, by the way. But do we want that rogues gallery running the government, controlling federal spending, and stymieing the president at every turn? But let's remember, should Nancy Pelosi repossess that speaker's gavel, you can bet that she will mire the country in endless investigations of the Trump administration and plunge us into a daily impeachment drama. There's no doubt about it. Well, tonight I have 4 recommendations to keep all of this from happening. Number 1, the Republicans should be out day in and day out selling the Trump economy. Go across your districts and remind people that for his administration, it's promises made, promises kept, and the Republican Congress helped them along the way. The president promised you peace and prosperity, and that's what he delivered. He promised to hold China accountable, make NATO countries pay their fair share, renegotiate NAFTA, and that's what he's doing. Republicans promised to cut taxes and roll back onerous job-killing regulations. And they did that, too. Now, this is why the Democrats keep talking about other issues. They're talking about things like Mueller or Michael Cohen or Stormy or Michael Avenatti. Why do Democrats do that? Because they have zero answers to Trump's success. They have no alternative except to go to these tangential, unimportant issues. Now, the president, because he gets how to tell a story, he understands the value of touting the economy as he did tonight in Florida.
We're setting records like never before. Since the election, we have added 3.7 million new jobs. We're in the longest positive job growth streak in history. The African-American unemployment rate has reached the lowest level in history. Sorry about this, women, but the unemployment rate has reached the lowest level in only 65 years. It'll be history.
That was great. And I think about a lot of things when I think about old flashback sound, but it really makes me smile, given everything that's happened on the economic front, to look back on what Barack Obama said about Trump back in 2016. Do any of you recall this?
When somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Okay, well, he's got something. I don't know if it's a magic wand. Maybe it's just great policies. Let's face it, due to Trump's agenda, we have record low unemployment and the best job market in decades. And by the way, we have 100,000 manufacturing jobs that did come back to the United States, President Obama. According to MarketWatch today, wage and benefits are rising at the fastest pace in a decade. The Employment Cost Index rose 0.6% in the second quarter, a tick below the MarketWatch estimate of 0.7%. More important, the cost of worker compensation in the form of pay and benefits edged up 2.8% to mark the biggest yearly gain since mid-2008. In other words, workers are making out better. You bet. The argument for every Republican candidate goes something like this. If you want to keep this economy going, if you want to keep this job market thriving, see your investment accounts growing, vote Republican. Number two, way to avoid impeachment and keep the midterm elections in Republicans' grips, educate voters on what the Democrats have become. The Democrats, let's face it, have gone totally nuts. You know, they now want to abolish ICE. They believe people should not be able to use things like normal gender pronouns. That's offensive to Democrats. They prefer that, I guess, we go to war with Russia rather than supporting Trump's diplomatic overtures to Russia. They want sanctuary cities from sea to shining sea. One guy even wrote a column today, a Democrat, about how we should have just no borders at all. At least they're honest. Now, they have a worldview where illegal immigrants are protected while our citizens become an afterthought. So on the campaign trail, emphasize how the Democrats are on the margin. They're the fringe. They're the radicals. They threaten individual liberty. Now, this is the party now of regulation and speech codes. It's a party that is intolerant of any view but their own. They want to turn our entire country into like one big college campus where every expression is controlled by them. Number three, argue that life under Democrat congressional rule is merely going to mean the nation will be locked into 2 years of relitigating the 2016 election. In other words, any real hope of solving our immigration, our spending, our entitlement, or our infrastructure problems, poof, it's all going to evaporate. With this economy roaring, right now we can actually focus on those things because of Trump and his big victory. We're finally out of the post-9/11 crisis mentality. Remember, it wasn't so long ago that we were either mired in the Middle East or dealing with fallout from the housing bubble, the financial crisis, or essentially just allowing China to dominate us with impunity. But thanks to Trump, we can now as a nation have a real conversation, and a debate would be nice, about the role that the United States will play in a world where the limits of globalization have frankly become pretty obvious. But let's not forget, the Democrats are loath to even begin considering that. They don't want to debate. They want to personalize, demonize, isolate Trump from his base. The fourth way to win in the midterms and avoid impeachment, be happy warriors. Have fun on the campaign trail. It is a great time to be an American. I can't think of a better time, frankly, in my lifetime in this economy than right now. All you kids out there watching, these are the good old days. Because of the efforts of Republicans and this White House, more Americans will be able to pursue happiness. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Sometimes we forget the latter part. People can realize their dreams. Trump was having that fun tonight and telling those stories.
I was shaking hands with policemen in New York City, and the first one came up to me and said, "Mr. President, I want to thank you so much." I said, "What did I do?" He said, "My 401k is up 44%, and my wife thinks I'm, for the first time, a financial genius. She's giving him all the credit." She said, "Darling, I love you so much." And he said, "Yes, I'm a great financial wizard."
Oh, the audience was laughing and having fun. That's what politics at its best is all about, making people's lives better, connecting with the electorate, personalizing the narrative. And that's what the president did tonight. He's out explaining why his policies are working, highlighting the results and the benefits for particular regions of the country. I hope he goes to places, by the way, that he lost in the general election or where the vote was kind of close. Don't be deterred by the protesters or the resistance mentality from traveling to places like California, Illinois, Colorado, and go back to Wisconsin, go to Michigan. To win over independent voters and even some Democrats, the president and the Republicans have to take the wind out of the resistance sails. This is best done by focusing on your results and offering more solutions without the histrionics or the side issues that will just be used to caricature you later on. And finally, if the president wants to do something in Congress before the midterms, hey, I would push for a middle-class tax cut. I know they're considering another capital gains tax cut, but how about another middle-class tax cut? Make what you already passed and is working permanent and expand the cuts you already have in place. That puts the Democrats totally on the defensive and on the spot. That means they're going to have to vote against their own constituents' economic well-being. That's a great idea. And while we're on midterm strategy, there was something the president said tonight about the wall and his desire for the wall that caught my attention.
We're going to have tremendous border security that will include the wall. We've started large portions of the wall, but we're going to need, even the way we negotiate, we're going to need more, and we're going to get more, and we may have to do some pretty drastic things, but we're going to get it.
All right, well, I hope by drastic things, he's not referring to a government shutdown. Now, I know a lot of you conservatives are like, yeah, government shutdown. And I get it. It's tantalizing. It's like the skeleton crew is working the government and it functions just fine for a time being. And it might actually force Congress to fund the wall before the midterms, although I'm not sure that would actually happen, as a political strategy. And I'm talking about winning in November to prevent the impeachment of this president. I think it's really risky. It's really risky. Why is it risky? Because with suburban women, with the independent voters, that's not really where they are. Results matter. Making their lives better matter. I'm with the president on the wall 100%, but if you're going to take a risky gamble on shutting down the government, the time to do that was last March when the whole omnibus spending bill debate was going on, right? That's when the president had the good instinct. It was in the morning he voted on it. The good instinct to veto it. Well, the Republicans made him change his mind on that, and he didn't veto it. But that was the time to take the stand. Now it's too close to the election, the midterm election. And plus, you know what I think would also do? It would convey a sense of chaos. And that's not what those independent voters want to see. They want a happy warrior president. They want the economic successes touted. They want to know who the Democrats really are. They want it steady as she goes. So, Mr. President, keep the focus on the economy like you did tonight, and your party cannot lose. Remind voters that without a GOP Congress, your booming economy is sure to unravel. And then when it does unravel, it's going to give way to daily impeachment warfare on Capitol Hill. And as for you Republicans who still don't really fully embrace the president's record, I got to say this, frankly, you don't deserve to win. But for the rest of you, make these midterms just the start of something phenomenal. And that's The Angle.